All right, CR. We've been circling Blackhat for a couple years now, specifically you. I don't know what keeps sucking you in with this movie. It's been on Netflix recently. Maybe that was it. But like every 3-4 months, you'll send me a texter test. Texter. Yo, Blackhat.
Yeah.
The Chinese food restaurant scene's pretty great.
Yeah.
Then 8 months later, Blackhat. That car explosion. It's fucking amazing. You're in Idaho in a fly fishing boat, just sending out the lines, just kind of hanging out, waiting to see if I'd pull. And then finally I decided to pull because Michael Mann was doing press for his new Ferrari movie.
Yeah.
And the last movie he made was Blackhat. And not only did he admit that it was disappointing, he blamed the fact that it didn't have a finished script. And I don't want to say he disowned the movie, but he was just like, we did not land the plane on Blackhat.
He said it just was not ready to get made. The script was not there. And this is an example of Mann kind of, if left to his own devices and, having this, I think he's had director's cut for his entire career.
Yeah.
But, working in a way that, like, if it's not going to work, there's not a lot of other people to come in and save it. I think I just read like a Ferrari piece where the cinematographer Eric Messerschmitt's like, often when you're making movies, like you're doing it in collaboration.
Yeah.
Michael Mann makes the movies, you're just there to help him.
Right.
And so I think it's big of him, but also probably honest to say, if there's problems with Blackhat, they're problems of my own making.
We saw this together.
We did.
In the theater, working for Grantland in 2015, January. It was released the same weekend as American Sniper, and it got annihilated. And it had a $70 million budget, made $19 million, and was considered to be one of the biggest failures of Mann's career.
Yeah.
We both kind of liked it. We had some issues with it. But I think what's interesting specifically about a movie like this, these movies that just are trying to do a shitload of stuff.
Yeah.
It's 2 hours, 13 minutes, something like that. You're remembering all these characters. People are from different countries. There's factories that are being blown up in China, and then, we have to go to Jakarta. We're going all over the place. You're trying to follow this thread of a plot that makes sense if you've been working on the movie for a year.
It also makes sense if it's edited the way Michael Mann said he should have edited the movie.
Right. So he thinks he should have taken the beginning and put it in the middle, which gives you a sense of like, okay, they didn't really figure this one totally out. And on first watch, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It is like an AP bio exam that you're just getting thrown into. And
it's the dream that you showed up to the test without your pants.
Right. You're like, ah! And, now it's been 8 years. It's been on a lot. We kind of know the beats of when to come in on. I understand mostly what's happening.
Uh-huh.
What do you think? Like 90%? Are you at 100% yet? Where are you?
I think that now that this is the coolest thing about this movie. So there's like what we record a lot of the times on podcasts, we record with Pro Tools, right, Craig? And there's like, when you're getting the audio files, they're called stems often. This is like having raw stems of a Michael Mann movie, and you just have to assemble it in your head. And I've watched this movie now enough so that like I can see the movie that it was supposed to be, even while the movie itself is fighting that vision.
Right.
And that is bizarre that I do that, but it is actually like not that it's not atypical of a Michael Mann movie experience. Like, other than Heat and a few others, they often take a few years to kind of really slip into the consciousness and also to become like your favorites, because like,
well, it's like that like wine when they say don't drink this for 9 years.
Yeah.
Don't drink this until
don't have this
years
mojito for 5 or 6 years,
right.
And I think that you watch them and you're like, oh, okay, like I'm trying to put together the plot there, but that was really cool. And then you watch it again, and you're like, oh, I kind of get it. That was cool. And then you watch it 4, 5, 6, 10, 15 times, and you're like, that's all I really want to watch, And when this went on Netflix, it was really easy to just run Blackhat because it's a cool movie to look at.
Well, and then it also aged just because of where the world is going. So now there's a belated Blackhat. It actually was good, and mainly because of how it mirrors a lot of real life events, a lot of things that we're really afraid of in 23. He was ahead of the curve on it. Everybody who is involved in like technology and safety and things like that, they all say like, this is the most authentic version of this that any movie has done.
Yeah, it was based off of or inspired by like a real life hack, the Stuxnet hack that brought down or crippled an Iranian nuclear reactor, I think. And, you're watching it and you're like, yeah, like, because a lot of the times hacking in movies is like, how can we make this real? And you have to make it almost like The Matrix, right? Like you have to make it like an action movie. And it's pretty complex in Blackhat, but like you said, like a lot of like computer experts have been like, this is about as close as we've ever gotten to representing what this is like in film. It's
like hearing a story from your spouse or a parent that's just super long story that's incoherent and goes all over the place.
No. Soy futures.
And it's going, and the first time you're like, man, that went in 9 different directions. Yeah. They had to stop and restart it. But then after you hear them tell it the 7th time, you know all the beats, and you're like, oh yeah, this story's great. Tell the story about the tennis club.
And it's also like, as long as the story has all the hallmarks of your favorite stories, which are Michael Mann movies, and there are a lot of things in this movie that are basically Michael Mann classic.
Well, it's Michael Mann. Yeah, it's Michael Mann karaoke.
Yeah.
He is our favorite director, and the reason that we started the Rewatchables. We have done Thief, Last Mohicans, Heat, The Insider, which we did on Rewatchables 99, but we haven't run on this feed yet, which was a really good podcast. Collateral, we've done. Miami Vice, we've done, and Blackhat.
And Manhunter. Haven't we done Manhunter?
Yeah.
And Manhunter.
Yeah, we only haven't done Public Enemies, I think.
Well, I don't know if Public Enemies is happening.
We also did Miami Vice, the 2-episode Calderon. We did that.
We haven't done Jericho Mile, which is the one I really want to do, but I don't think it's available anywhere.
Yeah.
I think like you have to go on YouTube or you have to go on that site where they reverse it.
Oh, yeah.
And they slow the audio down.
Yeah.
And talk like this a little bit. So I did the Michael Mann, the concept of him robbing. Like just Thief starts out small time robbers. We did that. Last of the Mohicans, people robbing the land, America. Heat, bank robbers. The Insider, robbing society. They're just murdering people, and we don't fully realize it. Ali, they're robbing his career. It's the heavyweight champ. They're trying to take it away from him. Collateral, this guy's just trying to rob Jamie Foxx's sanity in life. Yeah. He's just trying to torture this one person. That's it. Miami Vice, drug robbers. Public Enemies, like old school, what we grew up, what we grew up, the robbers that we heard the stories from in the 20s, and then Blackhat, technology.
Yeah.
It's weird that that's the theme over and over again in literally every Michael Mann movie is robbing.
Yeah, and I think he finds some sort of almost spirituality in the act of like a heist. Like it's the ultimate obstacle. It's like this individual, and he's confronted with an institution. He's confronted with some sort of like immovable force. And he's going to use his expertise in every one of his films is about somebody who is an expert at something.
Right.
In all of his movies.
Meticulous
expert.
They
are like a samurai when it comes to what they do. And they're like monastic in the pursuit of perfection in what they do.
So he was 72 when he made this. If he's 52, does he do a better job? Or is this just too impossible?
Well, that's a great question about like what went wrong, because obviously, I think that he says that he put the nuclear reactor meltdown in the beginning of the movie because he felt like the movie needed a bigger pop to start with.
Yeah.
In the director's cut, which aired, I think, just once on FX as part of like a retrospective that they were showing, like an all-day cable thing, and is now going to be available on the Blackhat Blu-ray in a couple of months, the reactor happens in the second act when they get to China. Like it's like they go to, I think that it's in Hong Kong, and they go, and like the reactor happens after the shootout with Kassar the first time.
Right.
Which makes total sense.
Right.
But you have to imagine that a guy hacking the Chicago Stock Exchange to drive up soy futures is enough to break out Hathaway from prison. And I kind of see why.
Right. So he gets the note, this isn't enough. They'd never use this card.
Or he's watching it and he's just like, I don't think this is a big enough deal. The problem with this movie, and the reason why I think some people feel like it's like kind of unfinished in some ways, is that he then subs in all this dialogue and does all this stuff with the first 25 minutes, 30 minutes of the movie, where people are clearly not speaking the words that are coming out of their mouths in the scenes, because he's trying to say like the nuclear reactor has already exploded.
Yeah, I didn't know if I was going crazy or they were actually doing that.
I mean, you can tell the sounds all over the place. Like I sometimes, I know this is wild, but like I think there might even be a difference between the version that's uploaded to Amazon and Netflix. Like
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it's sometimes you'll
because you bought this a few years ago or something?
Yeah. So you look at that and then you look at the Netflix version, and then I've seen the cut, the director's cut of that was on FX, and it just makes a lot more sense. But there's still these weird things that he does, like sometimes the music just stops. Like not fades out, not goes into something, dialogue disappears and stuff. So it's
where do you stand on people going backwards with movies they already made and changing them?
I think within reason it's pretty cool, but when you're like, we're on the 13th cut of Blade Runner, I'm like, just wake me up when it's the definitive one.
Right.
Like when they did.
Should I start doing this with old columns I wrote? Guys, 8th cut released.
You know what we should do is go back and do fantasy cuts where it's just Sean being like, great point, guys.
We cut out all of his actual points.
It's just like, absolutely.
2.0 version of the Jaws rewatchable. And Sean just doesn't say anything.
Sean sounds like Ed McMahon.
He's just laughing.
Right you are, SG.
Yes, sir. So as the last 8 years evolve, this becomes a much cooler movie.
Yeah.
As the rewatchability of it evolves, it becomes a much cooler movie. You start overlooking things like Chris Hemsworth, like the whatever accent he was trying to do in the first 30 minutes, and then kind of abandons, or he just ends up doing this low guttural kind of James Gumb voice for the last 2/3, which actually works better. He's just doing a lot of that. But I remember when we left the theater, we were like, what the fuck were they doing with Chris Hemsworth?
Yeah.
Because at that point, Rush had come out. He was great in that. This felt like, oh, we're having a moment with this guy. He's in this new Michael Mann movie, technology. Like, we couldn't wait to see this. And then it just wasn't a great version of it. But now as I watch it, it's a little like what happened with Colin Farrell on the Miami Vice movie, where the more you watch it, it's like, it's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, you have to accept that this is the world's best hacker who is also Jason Bourne. And if I just told you
who's also fucking jacked.
Yeah, if I told you that was just a movie, you'd be like, yeah, that sounds like a Jason Statham movie or something. But instead, it's a Michael Mann film with Thor. So you're like, okay, like he really got that cool at this by doing push-ups in prison. But kind of all of his behavior does relate back to his biography if you pay attention. It's just that he's also this beautiful blonde man who's like perfectly chiseled.
I thought they should have named the movie Handsome Hacker.
Yeah.
Just like coming from Michael Mann, January 8th, Handsome Hacker.
Maybe stolen a couple more American Sniper bucks
right.
if they did that.
So here's, for the people listening who have watched Blackhat a couple times, don't totally still know what happened. There's a nuclear plant in Hong Kong, goes in a meltdown, a hacker causes the pump to explode. Then they hack the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and the soy futures go nuts. And the Chinese government and the FBI realize the hack was performed using some sort of remote access tool that they don't fully understand. They get our guy, Chen Dewey, who's
like, I wrote this code.
Yeah, he's like, I wrote this with my dude who's in prison. Let's get him out.
Yeah, so Chen and Dewey is
They were at MIT.
Yeah.
And they wrote this code together, and somebody took the code and just started replacing small pieces of it and basically made it like the most evil code possible. And only these guys know how to fix the code or how to track it. Pretty good premise for a movie.
Dig it.
It's way more complicated the first 25. I mean, there's things you're like, wait, what? You almost like need a notepad and a pen.
Yes.
You're like, wait, okay, so that's the, and I think people have trouble with those movies when you watch it the first time. I had trouble with Rounders the first time. We talked about that in the Rounders Rewatchables. Like, I couldn't follow all the poker stuff. It was happening too fast. And then, like, by the 8th time, I'm like, okay, I get it.
Got it.
This
right.
happens.
And
happens.
I think once you know what to expect in this movie and when things happen, if you want, you can just look at it like this. There's an attack on the Chicago Mercantile. The soy futures go up. Somebody makes a ton of money. They start tracing that. They figure out that the money is going back to Hong Kong, to these gangsters who wouldn't normally be involved in something like this. And they're just kind of like, they're obviously like being used by somebody else. And then they take Hathaway out of prison. He's looking into the code. They're tracking some people in LA. And then something happens where they feel they have to go back to Hong Kong. And when they get to Hong Kong, they chase this Lebanese terrorist or Lebanese mercenary.
He's the shirtless, smoking, tattooed guy. Just so fucking villainy.
Yes. And there's a shootout. They get to that's when the nuclear reactor is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
All that stuff happens. And then it eventually leads to a showdown between Hathaway and this Blackhat.
So one of the flaws of this is whoever gave him the note, you can't start a movie with soy futures skyrocketing. Right. We need like a big explosion.
No, that's the end of Trading Places.
Yeah, right, right. We need to build up to soy futures. So Blackhat comes out. American Sniper annihilates it. Within 2 weeks, Universal decides to withdraw the film from all but 236 theaters.
Yeah.
So it takes it out of like 230 plus theaters, which is the 6th biggest drop in the history of third week films for most percentages of a movie just pulled out. That's how bad it was. Legendary, the company that did it, they took a $90 million write down on the film, which isn't awesome. And then Michael Mann, his quote was, "It's my responsibility. The script is not ready to shoot. The subject may have been ahead of the curve because there were a number of people who thought this is all fantasy. Wrong. Everything is stone cold accurate." And I think that's what's grown with the movie is like, it's actually like really impeccably accurate.
Yes.
But sometimes impeccably accurate isn't that much fun to watch just if you're watching a movie for the first time.
Well, it's almost like a micro versus macro thing. It's like micro accurate. Like like pretty much all of the computer stuff, all of the like, even down to like the level of detail that he imbues with like Reyes, the guy who initially starts like he steals the USB off of the dude's desk. They're like, he's in a West Texas prison gang. He's in Zapotecas. This is how we find him. It's like, this is like really well-researched stuff. But on the macro, like they'll be in LA and then they'll be in Hong Kong and then they'll be in Jakarta. And you're like, how the fuck are they getting all over the place like this? Like that.
And why did they trust Chris Hemsworth's character this much?
Or not enough?
They pulled him out of jail and he's just basically becomes, Paul Walker in the first Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah. So I think that there's like huge holes. But then if you were to drill down and be like, I'm looking at this through a microscope, you'd be like, oh, wow, everything that they're doing kind of makes sense.
It sounds like we're apologizing for this movie.
I'm not apologizing. I love it every time I watch it. Another thing that often happens with Michael Mann movies that happens with this one too, is that initially people see it and they're like, this looks weird. Because he's always like trying new stuff with cameras and he's trying, this is fully digital.
It's all handheld digital.
He's running around
over
with like
and over
lipstick
again.
cameras. There's cameras like up on like people's necks for a second.
Yeah.
And you're like, this looks stupid. And then you watch YouTube for 8 years and you're like, oh yeah, Blackhat looks great. Blackhat looks amazing.
Right. The pandemic made Blackhat look even better. I don't think this has aged like as well as Miami Vice did.
No.
Miami Vice within about 5 years, started to look like some draft pick where you're like, I was dead wrong about that one.
Yeah.
Can't believe Tyrese Halliburton turned out like this. I actually was a believer in it, but
I was waiting to see if you were going to be like, I always believed it.
Who took me a while? Who do you have that you just didn't believe in and then the guy turned into something? I was dubious of Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
Coming out of high school, he just kind of seemed like a weird guy.
Right to be dubious in certain ways, yeah.
Yeah, well, he made some All-NBAs. But yeah, I think this movie has aged in a way where maybe like, what do you think the next 5-10 years look like?
Well, one thing will be interesting is if he ever assembles and then releases like in the Blu-ray, if the director's cut becomes widely available.
But do those matter? Because like they did that with 54, which everybody was like, oh, now this movie makes sense. But I don't know anyone who's seen it other than probably Sean, who probably
because the Blade Runners are like, I think that's one of the reasons why Blade Runner has remained in the discourse is because every once in a while, every few years, Ridley Scott like tweaks something in Blade Runner, and we have to have a Blade Runner retrospective, and people go and watch like marathons of all the different cuts and think about it. So I think
so you think we should do another reheat?
I think we should do the Blackhat in 2 years.
I'm ready for the Miami Vice.
Yeah.
Let's talk mojitos.
I'm whenever you want.
Well, one thing about this movie, Chris, the internet.
It's out there.
It's out there. Everything you want.
This is real Kelso
all
stuff.
Out there. No Roger Ebert review because he was not with us anymore.
Yeah, but Matt Zoller's site's on RogerEbert.com gave it 3.5 out of 4.
Interesting. There you go. Most rewatchable scene. The opening credits, how he does the actual hacking, the computer graphic, whatever the fuck he's doing.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty riveting. It's up there with some of the best stuff I've seen where that's not anything.
Like the Fight Club
right.
credit sequence. Yeah.
Really good. I just wanted to mention it. It's not a most rewatchable, but it's really cool. The offer to to our guy Nicholas, Chris Hemsworth's character. First of all, I love his Chicago accent, which is really only in this scene. Then they're like, hey, Chris, I know you were working with the dialect coast, but can you stop? But I love this. This movie hits a lot of tropes, including this isn't a negotiation. I just made it one. We're good.
I like when he's like, the Justice Department guy's like, I'm sorry. And he's like, why are you sorry? I insulted you.
Right. So when he gets to the Korean restaurant, to me, this is when the movie takes off. Like, if I'm doing the rewatchable, I'm not saying I'd throw away the first 20 minutes, but if I'm coming in right around here, I'm good.
Yeah, and this is where Leanne starts to really go for him and is like, why don't you talk to me like a real person and stop talking to me like you're still in prison? He's doing his whole, like, I do my time, not the institution's time.
I'm not fishing for sympathy here. I did the crime. I'm doing the time. Time isn't doing me. Cheesy, but it works, man.
It's Jimmy Caan from Thief. It's like the same guy. It's just the same guy and recurring throughout Mann's filmography. It's amazing.
This has a lot of action scene tropes that I like. Just the setup is perfect of the restaurant, like just how big it is, where it's just big enough to have an awesome fight, but also small enough to have an awesome fight. Then kind of notice when the guy notices the cameras, like 5 minutes into the dinner and looks up and it just they do that thing. It's like, I'll be right back. Just leaves her.
And then he's like,
goes in the back.
Logs in his Ghost Man.
Yeah. Puts in Ghost Man. Piss off and die Ghost Man. The fight scene's awesome.
Yeah.
The fight scenes in these movies are great. Like Hemsworth's like, I would say one of the better fight scene guys.
Yeah. I mean, the Extraction stuff is great that he's been in recently, but and you just basically have to imagine these as like, this guy's been in prison brawls. Like this guy's been in fights in cells, on yards, and like this is how he fights. So
if our guy Mike's redoing this, I would have thrown in a prison fight in the first 12 minutes, replaced the soy futures.
To show like this is how this guy
this guy's a fucking, he might be a hacker, but he's fucking badass.
Yeah.
Like he beats the shit out of somebody in the cafeteria, and then when they show him in, he's like icing his
hand. Then he goes like reads Michel Foucault and does like 100,000 push-ups.
Mike Mann, put that in there, baby. You got this. Next one I have is him finding the transmitter in the plants.
Yeah.
I just like that whole, where it's like holding up the phone, walking over the different spots.
Yeah.
And good stuff. The raid of Kassar's hideout. First of all, has there ever been a basement hideout in any action movie where it didn't kind of work out?
No, and especially a basement that has a tunnel that leads to the pier.
Yeah. And like a lot of, I was trying to think, because as somebody who's worked on a house in their day, like just what kind of crew is working on that basement with the total high end like fiber cement, whatever the fuck's going on down there. It's like, this isn't like just a couple days down there. Like they're really trying to build something. There's traps and bombs. Like who's doing this? Where do you find people to do that stuff?
Apparently, like the Mercenaries Are Us, like classified ads. The best part about this too is like when you see Kassar and he's sitting in the cafe when they find the transmitter and he's just like smoking and texting or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, this guy, Alden, just kind of like doesn't seem like that big. Wonder if he's going to be much of an adversary.
Yeah.
And then the first time you see him move with a gun, you're just like, oh shit. And nobody does gunfights like Michael Mann. Like the sound, the dynamics of it are just incredible.
It's an elite scene. The explosion is the best scene in this movie for me.
Oh, in the tunnel?
When her brother blows up.
Oh, this is later. You're talking about the one later on.
I'm going later.
Oh, okay,
yeah, I'm moving ahead
the
to the next.
Okay, yeah.
When the brother blows up, that was an all-time wow moment in the theater.
Yes.
It still is. It's something about it makes you jump when it happens. It's out of nowhere.
Dude, he hits the plunger again because then they get Viola and Holt.
Yeah, that whole scene, and you can't believe that they kill the brother, and then they double down and they kill our guy Holt, who I know we're going to talk about later, and Viola, who's incredible in this movie. That whole scene's nuts. I have some nitpicks about maybe the gunfighting on the Viola Holt side.
Okay. Like they didn't
just not hiding behind a pillar or anything.
No defensive position.
Just standing out, just shooting. I like when he did the parking garage, when he backs the car over the parking garage and it just falls. I don't think I've ever seen that in a movie before.
Awesome.
It's so cool. Yeah. How did Fast and Furious not do that?
But he's trying to basically call it like he's basically breaking into this server company by dropping a car through its roof.
Really good. The convo with the bad guy when he finally hunts him down, and the guy says, "Oh, you were never in the game. You're a glorified Carter."
Yeah.
Kassar says that. And then the final big scene, which is really good.
Yeah.
With all the people, whatever ceremony that is that they're doing.
It's like I think it's a Nepalese ceremony, but it's, in this place in Jakarta, and they basically have like an epic gunfight, knife fight that apparently you just need to strap a couple issues of Marie Claire to your stomach and you're good.
With the 1,000 bystanders, none of them saw anything. They're just kind of walking ahead with their swords. I'm gonna guess that you have the basement raid and the shootout.
I have the Sheko fight. It's just I think gunfights on screen. It's basically like Sam Peckinpah, John Woo, Michael Mann, and Chad Stahelski. Yeah. And it's like there's really that's it. When that's the only people I really want to see shooting this stuff.
Yeah.
And there's just so many amazing details in this, but like even Karis, like checking on his Indonesian crew and be like, is this guy okay? Because you'd usually expect the bad guy to be like, fuck him, like I don't care.
Yeah.
But he's like, you can tell like that's his little click. So yeah, it's definitely this. I had a couple other rewatchable scenes though.
Let's hear it.
Okay, I have when Barrett and Dwight brace the financial sector guy, and she's like, Gary, may I call you Gary?
Oh yeah, I had that in One Stage the Best.
Yeah,
Am I being tangible, Gary?
I'm gonna call Laura Greer at Commodities Trading Commission, and I say, Laura, how are you doing?
Yeah, I love that scene. I should have put that in.
And I also really like him in the nuclear core, like the nuclear reactor core, because it's just like, how the fuck did they shoot this? This looks just incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, the phone call, the last fight are great. But I have this Sheko fight.
What stage the best? People with absolutely unparalleled elite skills trapped in jail.
Yeah,
just a great movie premise. I'm in every time.
If I told you
this
that
guy's
the
the
director's
best, but he's
cut
behind bars
of this movie was an hour of Hathaway in prison.
Oh yeah, the prequel of this is just him in prison.
Yeah,
hacking and trying to give everybody more meal money.
Commissary. Yeah.
Another one I love, another trope. The criminal getting a quick release from jail because only he can help the investigation.
Just perfect.
I'm in. That's it. I'm in. Here's my money. I like when a hacker gets foiled as he's hacking. So when the bad guy, he thinks like, I'm king hacker. I'm going nuts here. I'm fucking with the solar futures. I got this code. And then all of a sudden somebody flips it on them and they're like, who's this guy? Yeah. Ghostface. What's going on here? You mentioned the Viola scene. I mean, to me, that's what's aged the best. And I don't know when you want to have this conversation.
About Viola?
In this movie.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think she's just fan-fucking-tastic.
I
remember saying this to Wesley a couple years ago. I just wish she was this persona / character in more movies.
I mean,
because I think she's like smoking hot in this movie. She's got like a vibe to her. And I just feel it makes me mad. Like Tarantino never got a hold of her or director like that. And just like, I'm just putting you in the face of a movie and you're going to carry it and be this person right here.
She pretty much plays a version of this character in Suicide Squad where
she does.
Yeah. So it's like, it's kind of more indicative of where movies are now, where it's like a movie like Blackhat is actually just Suicide Squad or has become something like that. But I was watching interviews with her around the time that this came out, and she just like spent all this time with like the person who was running the DEA at the time.
Yeah.
And just observed all these folks. Like Mann had her with all these high rolling agents. And she had such an amazing like conception of this character who honestly isn't on the screen that much or doesn't have that much to do.
Doesn't have much to do and isn't really written out in a great way. And she just like creates this whole character from scratch. It's awesome. And she has more chemistry with Chris Hemsworth than his girlfriend does.
That was my next What's Aged the Best is when Chris Hemsworth's like, hola chica.
I thought she was awesome. And then our guy Holt.
Yeah.
You want to do Holt? You want to do one for like 40 seconds on this?
I mean, I think it's a compliment to say that he has the Sizemore part in this movie. It's just like, your name is Mike Jessup. Sign me up. Lifetime contract. I'm in. He's a U.S. Marshal, but is like willing to bend the law to get the guy. and has just got so much screen presence. And, you can see him in Mindhunter. You can see him in so many things, but he's awesome.
Yeah, he's beyond that guy, but he was that guy for a while. But, Shot Caller.
Holt McCallany we're talking about. Yeah.
Shot Caller is the beast. I know you love Shot Caller. Shot Caller will be a one for us at some point. He's in Jack Reacher. He had a whole run. He's in Warrior, the TV movie. He was in Sully.
What was the boxing movie show that he had on FX?
I think it was Warrior, wasn't it?
That was the name of the show?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, he was just in a lot of stuff for a lot of years where he was either the bad guy or the good guy who could be a badass.
Yeah.
And he's got a very distinctive face. I thought Shot Caller was probably his
Fincher really
highlight.
Obviously likes using him a lot, but he's incredible in Mindhunter if people haven't seen
and
it.
Fight Club way back, he was in that too. Hamji Park, I think that's how you say it. This is a real place. It's in Koreatown. I don't think it's exactly, they said on the address, I think like 8th Street, but I think it's actually, maybe they said 6th Street. Whatever street they say in the movie, it's a couple blocks away, but this place exists. You can go there.
K-Town is Michael Mann's favorite LA neighborhood?
I didn't think that was the question you were going to ask me. I thought you were going to ask me, how have we not gone to dinner at this place yet?
Let's go.
I mean, honestly, how have we not gone to dinner at this place yet? When you want to walk in, I'd just be like looking around.
We could go to BJ's on Alvarado afterwards.
Yeah, no, he's Koreatown. He gets it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, that's why he's our guy. The Michael Mann staring out to LA shot, just like a staple. Again, a lot of karaoke here, but he's got Nicholas and his girlfriend, and they're just kind of looking out the window, and then they decide to hook up. But very similar, little De Niro, Edie.
Speaking of karaoke, there's a moment when it's almost towards the end of the film, but Hathaway and Leanne are in Indonesia. They're in a dry riverbed.
Yeah.
And it's basically the "we just got made" scene where he's looking around at nothing and then puts it all together.
Yeah.
And that is like my favorite Michael Mann moment. It's like not unlike also Will Graham watching the videos and being like, "You wanted them to watch, didn't you?" It's like there's like the revelation for our protagonist.
Do you think Mann should have leaned into some of the old Michael Mann movies more? Like he just could have had Nicholas go, "These guys are good."
You know who's watching us?
Oh man. Kassar. I just wrote down bald, bearded, smoking, shirtless, tattooed bad guy.
Yeah.
It's like he hits every part of the checklist.
Yeah. It's like when he points the remote for the detonator, and he's just like that. I look behind me. I'm like, am I okay? Am I blowing terrifying? Up?
Just mentioning our guy, John Ortiz.
Yeah.
Who in the Miami Vice movie is the bad guy. He's working for the King drug guy. He's the guy in the scene when they go into the warehouse. Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx. He's sitting on the other side of the table. Every time I see him, I get excited.
Yeah.
He did I think he was in a TV series, like a comedy.
Ortiz?
He's bounced around on a bunch of stuff, but Mann likes him. He's in like kind of the Michael Mann repertory players.
For sure.
Moore would say the best. Anytime something called Black Widow is involved as not a spider.
Just anytime we're doing keystrokes. Anytime we're
put
like
Black Widow in. It's when AI takes over these movies, just put Black Widow in the AI cycle. Also, when in one of these movies, when the lead guy is told by somebody else, "You have to run."
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
What else do you have for Would Sage the best?
I thought, honestly, Lee-Han Wong, who plays Dewey, is awesome in this movie. And is like incredibly cool, speaks Mandarin and English throughout the film, and is like a very, very like well done character, and the performance is awesome. I just shout him out. And then
I forgot to mention that there are good helicopters in this movie.
Oh my God.
Like big ass, like 15-seat helicopters. You just don't see them.
And then just like the stuff that Michael Mann does that very few other filmmakers do, where it's like he's in Hong Kong and like a shot will start with like basically a low angle of a guy cooking with a wok on high flame. He's like, what the fuck is happening? Mike, come on.
It turns into a Bourdain episode for 2 seconds.
And then magazine body armor.
Mm.
Yeah, that's another one.
What'd you have for Kid Cudi Pursuit of Happiness or for Best Needle Drop? I couldn't really
This is a very interesting bit. The music in this movie is somewhat controversial, but I would say, like, let's just say the Michael Mann synths and Michael Mann using alarms in a scene that then turn into the music of the scene. So during the shootout at the pier, it sounds like it's the alarm that's going off on the computer when they find out that the money is being emptied. But then the alarm just becomes the backdrop for the techno music that's playing during the shootout.
Yeah.
That's just badass.
It's badass, but it's no Miami Vice.
No, it's no Linkin Park HAC.
That, man. Big Kahuna Burger War, best use of food or drink. The broken wine bottle, that he breaks the wine bottle, and usually when guys do that, it's to fend people off, and he breaks it, and immediately it's like,
yeah,
does like the fucking Mask of Zorro on the guy. 7 cuts. Love that. Den of Thieves, Benihana Award for scene stealing location. This could go a lot of ways. You could go the restaurant, the nuclear reactor. What'd you say?
I would go restaurant. I would go the Korean restaurant.
Restaurant, just such that great wide high shot of just, and you're just like, oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, the busboy. I don't trust him.
Yeah.
Who's sitting over in that next table over there? I don't know if I trust them either. You just kind of know something's going to happen. Great Shot Gordo Award. I mean, the ending fight scene was really cool in the theater.
Yeah.
With just the colors and all the people. But the opening is really unique. What else do you have?
I have when Barrett gets killed and she's just told the story, or not even told the story, but just mentioned that her husband died in 9/11. And she gets killed, and the last thing she looks up in the building.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome. It's great. Like, yeah.
And then I also just love when they spring Hathaway and he's walking across the tarmac.
Yeah.
And it's just like the shot of nothing that he's standing on this huge airport runway is really great. But probably the Barrett dying.
The Vincent Chase Award. Are we sure this character was actually good at his or her job? Viola Davis's character, I don't know, a lot of leeway here for a guy they released from, hey, should I hack into Black Widow? I don't know, man. I'll look the other way if you want to go in there. I'm pretty sure the answer is maybe don't get into Black Widow.
Yeah, there maybe needed to be a plan B there, right?
We didn't need the $74 million this bad that we're going to have this criminal hacking into like our most precious defense system. I don't know. Would have avoided that. The Butch's Girlfriend Award for weak link of the film. We already covered it. Just how fucking confusing it is if you're watching it the first time. Unfortunately, you have to watch this for like 8 years to understand it, like Chris and I.
Yeah, this is a podcast that will really make sense.
Yeah, this is a one for us.
In 2031.
This would be a one for us 8 listens from now for the listener. What's aged the worst? The critiques of this movie have not aged well because one of the things people critiqued was like, this isn't realistic. And it actually turned out it was incredibly realistic. So I'm going to throw those in. Is it mostly
that they don't think the computer stuff is realistic, or that they don't think Hemsworth is realistic because he's too hot to be a guy who just spends all his time in his computer?
That was a piece of it. But also I think, that they would free that it was this important to free this guy for what was going on. Yeah. And could somebody really just do this and unleash holy havoc on
You don't see a lot of guys coming out of federal jail being like, man, I was rooming with the hottest guy in the world. I was rooming with Chris Hemsworth.
His accent we mentioned. He said, well, after the movie, I didn't enjoy what I did in the film. It just felt flat. And it was also an attempt to do what I thought people might have wanted to see. But I don't think I'm good in that space.
This is actually...
Chris, slow down, buddy.
Yeah.
You did fine.
I thought that this was one thing that aged the worst. Not his performance.
His take on his own performance.
Yeah.
Chris, you were good.
Yeah, man.
Just use an Australian accent next time. Guess what? It would have been fine if you were from Sydney, Australia. Did it matter? Okay, he's from Chicago. Who cares? What does that have to do with anything?
It doesn't ever say he's from Chicago. I think that was like a Michael Mann note where it's like, you're from Chicago and you went to the Gladiator Academy.
You're like Jimmy Kahn, but for 2015. And then, just make him, you came from Australia, you went to MIT.
Yeah.
And you have a fucking Australian accent. Done. I have this as a what's aged the worst. This is just a general nitpick. The guy who went to jail because he injured somebody in a fight.
Oh, yeah. That's Nicolas Cage in Con Air.
40 action movies.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm actually a good person, but this one fight, I got provoked and I can't, and 18 months, but I'm fine. I'm not actually a criminal. It's never, we never have in this, like, so what'd you do to go in jail? Well, I was sending photos and it
Blue
turned out
1.2.
or I was sending photos. It turned out the girl was 15.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And just like record screech.
Yeah.
It's always like, I got to fight. Guy got hurt.
Yeah, but it's always protecting someone else that you got in the fight. It's
Right.
not because you were just like, I had 16 PBRs and blacked out because I lost a bunch of money on daily fantasy.
right. Or like, I had this gambling Ponzi scheme and I defrauded 40 million from my friends.
Yeah.
So I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
Another would age the worst. The feelings of people who fix TVs and garage door openers, because they kind of get a drive-by shooting in this from Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
And then what's age the worst? Dense plots. I wrote down.
Yeah, I had the jumpy dialogue trying to explain the dense plot.
Yeah, dense plots are tough.
It's hard to have a film directed by Michael Mann that you're just like, the audio mix is off on this movie in certain places.
The king of impeccable everything can't get the audio right. I also this is a movie where I do crack open the Wikipedia to make sure
I'm following it.
Yeah, I'm like, oh wait, what part are we in? And going, oh yeah, that part. There's a lot going on.
For most of the movie, we get Khazar is the bad guy, but then at the end, Sadak, I think his name is.
Yeah.
But like he gets introduced.
Like that guy.
He gets 2 scenes. We don't know anything about him. We don't get his ideology, his biography. We don't know why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
Hathaway's like, you need money because that's your scoreboard in the virtual world. But like, that's not like a reason for all of this. The guy brought down a nuclear power plant.
It would have been funny if he was like, I'm trying to buy the Redskins. Snyder's in trouble. I just got to get to 500 million. Or he's like, I'm a huge Charlotte Bobcats fan.
He's like, I love Heineke.
I'm worried the Pelicans might leave New Orleans. Yeah. That's my team. Gail Benson, I might be able to get him. I just need to get to 400.
What do you think the NBA press release would be if they found out that the guy who owned the Pelicans was a black hat hacker?
Who's the soy futures hacker.
Yeah.
Listen, they've had almost as bad by teams. Was best time for a pee break. I mean, pick your spots with any of the scenes where he's with the sister.
So they do. Oh, see, I like a couple of Leanne scenes.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a couple once they start dating, we're like, all right, we're good.
Oh,
she's worried about
the sex scenes. What do you think of the moment? But like, you would miss the moment where Dwight breaks in and they're just like curled up in bed. And he's like,
that part you need.
Guess what? We got to go chase $76 million.
Yeah. Oh, you guys are dating?
Too. Yeah.
Was there a better title for this movie? So it was initially titled Cyber.
Mm-hmm. I think that would have been a little bit more communicative of what it was about.
You don't like Handsome Hacker?
Save it for Horse Race.
What about Ghostface?
Ghost Man.
Oh, Ghost Man.
And I think that people would have just been like, is this a horror movie or like a...
It's like new from Blumhouse?
Yeah.
You excited for the new Nun movie?
Sure. Yeah. You excited for Exorcist?
Just a shore from you? But the Simmons family is completely in on the Nun.
Yeah.
Simmons family loves the Nun.
I liked the Nun. And I'm looking forward to Nun 2. It's like I think I've got a lot riding on Exorcist being good.
My mom watched The Pope's Exorcist.
That's a tough movie.
And she's like, I knew Russell Crowe was in it, but I didn't know the person I had been watching for the first 10 minutes of the movie was Russell Crowe. What happened? That's my mom's take. Got to get her on the Rewatchables.
Oh my God. What would she want to do? Can we do Big Chill with her?
Well, I asked her.
And what'd she say?
She said, I don't want to be in the Rewatchables. I don't want to be on any podcast. I only did the one on your 50th birthday. I was like, if you could come on Big Chill, that would be amazing for all of us. I think when we do Big Chill, I might have to just bring equipment to her house
and do
just do like a bonus, like deleted scene at the tail end of the pod after. Now
what
here's my
really
mom.
Yeah.
We've had dinners where there was silence for a split second, and I would just look at her and go, what happened to you? To the Joe Beth Williams.
Did she find that funny?
Yeah, she does. That's her movie. Best quote. I'm not sure there's any light at the end of this tunnel anymore. Hemsworth says that to the sister. Strong.
I mean, you're never going to get me to go away from my do my own time, not the institution. See, to hold on to who you are in there, you dedicate yourself to a program. You work out your body and your mind.
He's just like studying Jimmy Kahn and Thief.
Yeah.
Getting ready for that.
Get that tattooed on my back.
Do you have an SAS Hottest Take Award?
I didn't really for this one, partially because it takes so much brain power to understand what's happening in this movie. Did you have one?
I didn't. This isn't really a hot take, but I don't think this is even close to being Michael Mann's worst movie.
Do you think Public Enemies is?
Yeah. That movie just doesn't work, and Depp's bad in it, and I just don't like watching it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people mentioned this one. Casting What Ifs couldn't find any. Could you?
None.
Ruffalo Hannah Rubeneck Partridge Overacting Award?
I think that there's an argument to give all of these to Richie Koster as Kassar. That he gets overacting in a great way. Dion Waiters.
Oh, he sweeps it? Like an EGOT?
Yeah, and gets that guy. Not to say that I didn't do my homework. I have other nominees, but I'm just saying.
I like where you're going with that. Well, best that guy. Is John Ortiz that guy for you anymore, or is he John Ortiz?
I think it's William Mapother, who's in...
So I had him written down as Tom Cruise's brother.
Yeah.
Because he's Tom Cruise's brother. Did you know that, Craig?
He's his cousin.
Tom Cruise's... Oh, it's his cousin? I thought it was his brother.
It's hey, more you know fun that, Craig? This guy, that's Tom Cruise's brother right there.
It's his cousin?
Yeah.
Oh, I always thought it was his brother.
Yeah.
This guy from Lost.
He might be dining out on the brother thing, though, so who knows?
York von Wageningen as
Sadak.
Sadak had him as well. Dion, is Viola Davis eligible or no?
She's in a lot.
I think she's in too
most
much
of the first half of the movie.
So what would you do?
For Dion, I would do Holt.
Yeah, I agree. Recasting.
Yes, let's have the Hathaway conversation. At this point, DiCaprio's too old, right? In 15.
This is a year before Revenant.
Mm-hmm.
He's too old. It's Hemsworth with an Australian accent. And look, we're gonna have nitpick later where it's like that guy was too jacked to be a hacker. He was too fucking handsome. There's no way he was just sitting in front of a computer. But maybe go the other way. Maybe he was just a scrawny, skinny guy forever. And when he got to the joint, he really like beefed up. Seen it happen.
Yeah.
I watched my son put on 25 pounds in like 3 months. Like, I'm not willing to rule anything out. But I think it's somebody like him. Like, I do think there needs to be some physicality.
Sure.
I think Renner would have been interesting, but might have been too old.
Oh, that's a cool shout.
Yeah. Might have been too old.
Yeah.
At this point, but it's like 2009 Renner range. The other one I was thinking, Craig's going to be happy. Is Teller too young at this point?
So he's been in jail for 8 years. How long has he been in prison for?
I think we're supposed to think, yeah, this guy, he came out in 2002 and started hacking. And so he's probably like mid-30s. So probably too old for Teller.
Yeah, it's like, is it Gyllenhaal? Driver?
Driver.
Well, obviously Mike loves Driver.
It's probably Driver.
Yeah.
Because I could buy Driver as a hacker, but he's also kind of kick-ass.
He's got his...
Yeah, like Driver's good. Love Driver. Half-Assed Center Research. We mentioned some of it. There's a lot of stuff about the composer, Henry Gregson Williams, who's got the on-screen credit, but apparently they just didn't use really any of his music, only a few things, and he's really upset about it. And there's like long quotes about it's weird to get credited for something you didn't do. And man, just kind of hero balled that it sounded like.
Yeah.
He's like, Henry Gregson Williams, just set me a pick and then go over to the corner.
So it's deeper than that. You know about Harry Gregson Williams' Facebook update when he saw the movie, right?
Right. Well, tell the audience.
Well, no, it's like, so Harry Gregson Williams, who did the score, saw the movie and was just like, that's not my music. And did like a whole Facebook post about it. And was like, I'm now one of like the many composers that has had their work chopped and diced by Michael Mann. But Michael Mann was basically like, this is my favorite quote about this. In the end, it's the film and my vision that dictate which music can used as how. If a composer wants to have his music stand alone, he should be a recording artist and let his work contest in that arena.
He's such a dick. I love it. He's such a prick.
Post it on SoundCloud. Yeah.
He's definitely one of those directors where people get asked to work for them and they do the, Michael's Michael. They say the name twice. He's definitely a double namer. Apex Mountain. Oh, wait, I had one more thing for this, for Half-Assed Internet. The lady who managed Google's information security engineer team said, quote, "The most accurate information security film I've ever seen." Also explains why it was $70 million and made 19, because I'm not sure what the competition was for information security film action movies. Probably not a long list. How many hacker movies have there been?
I mean, that's
Angelina made one. Redford made one.
Yeah. Matrix is kind of a hacker movie, but not after the first 20 minutes.
Apex Mountain.
Hacking on screen, obviously.
You'd have hacking on screen for Apex Mountain?
In this movie, yeah.
We haven't done better with hacking?
I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
What about Hackers with Robert Redford and River Phoenix? People like the movie. Sneakers?
That's pretty good, yeah. But that's like back in like the dial-in era.
I really only had Soy Futures and Hamji Park Restaurant as Apex Mountains.
Those are awesome,
Yeah,
though.
That's it. That's all I got. Best racehorse name, Blackhat or Ghostface?
I like Ghostman.
Ghostman.
Ghostman on
Ghostface.
the rail, yeah.
Picking nits, Chris Hemsworth, way too handsome to be a hacker. I mean, you could take that to the end. I have a huge pick and nit for the ending, which I've seen more than once.
Mm-hmm.
They're Nicholas and Sadak.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking to each other, but it's this huge cultural event.
It's crazy.
It's loud. There's people. He's like really far away. Like he's like 50 yards away, and he's like, "You thought you could get away with it?" There's just no way anyone hears anyone.
There's a bunch of things.
It's really bad.
With like what audio people can hear. One of my favorite parts is when they're in the chopper after Dewey's caught Hathaway with his sister.
Yeah.
And they're just like, switch to the private channel so that we can talk about this.
Right. I can't believe you're dating my sister. Yeah. That scene's not great. That's a good pick and knit scene. And then all the other knits we've picked. Do you have any other ones?
Just like they seem entirely prepared for the specific wounds he's about to get inflicted with at the end of the movie, where she's like, "I'm going to run to the drugstore and get some rubbing alcohol and gauze pads because you're definitely going to get shot with a machine gun and we're going to need it." And I guess like you just learn this stuff in prison, which is amazing. But his thing with this, he's got like the scarf for the neck wound. And then he's got all the magazines, and he's just like,
that's how I'm going to the Dodger game tonight with you. Wear a scarf for my neck, have magazines attached to my chest. I think we hit all the nitpicks. Like, we probably didn't go quite hard enough on how just replacing audio for the first 25 minutes of a movie because you've decided something should be in a different spot. It's just really weird for a movie that cost $70 million.
I know we did. We did best quote, but I wanted to bring another category back because it's a Michael Mann movie.
Yeah.
A Book About Metals award for belatedly best quote or exchange.
Yeah.
So when they're in the Korean restaurant and the chef or whoever, the waiter comes up to them and is like, basically like, if you're not going to order anything else, you got to get up. And Hathaway looks up and he goes, "You're really hurting for space," because there's no one else in the restaurant. I've been saying this to myself in my head because now in LA, when you go in to any restaurant and you're like, "Table for two, please," and it's an empty restaurant, the host inevitably like goes, what can I do? What can I do?
Right.
Could you get up in 47 minutes?
Right.
And you're just like, yeah, you're really hurting for space.
Yeah, they don't want to give the foretop to the two people.
Yeah.
It is a weird trend. I've noticed that over the last year.
Because everybody has digital reservations now.
Yeah, you're right.
But when you walk in and you're just like, there's not a single fucking person in this
If you come in right before the dinner rush and all those tables are reserved,
and they're like, "We can put you in this shelf. You can just sit in there and you can eat with your hands." And you're like, "Oh, cool, thanks."
We went to a place and there was an outdoor table that we wanted, but it had like a reserved. And we're like, "Can we sit there?" And it's like, that's reserved.
Yeah.
Had the entire dinner. Nobody ever sat at the table. And then we were leaving. And I said to my wife, like, "Can I just be a dick and mention how nobody sat down at the table?" Say, no, forget it. Don't. But nothing is more annoying than that. Because then it just makes you not want to go back to the place.
It almost makes me want to.
It's the service industry. They're serving us. They're making us want to go back.
It makes me want to go back to go to the restaurant and put your name down. And then it's Thunderdome. You know what I mean? I'm going to get a drink.
Yeah.
You said it's 30 minutes. I'll wait 30 minutes and then I'm going to sit down. But I don't like making a reservation 2 weeks in advance and showing up, and they'll be like, can you sit in this flower bed? Is that okay?
So when we go to Hamji Park, Koreatown,
I hope they're like,
we're just going right
out.
in and we're like, hey, put down Ryan for 2. Craig, we're eating there. Don't think we're not. And then Chris is going to look up at the cameras and then go in the back for reasons unclear. Sequel, prequel, prestige TV, all black cast, or untouchable.
Any of the first 3. Any of them.
So let's talk it out. Prequel, he's just in jail.
Yeah,
it's shot caller with the hackers. Great.
And how cool would it be?
What if he tried to hack his way out of jail?
But I would rather have
anyone
him
done that
stay
movie?
in
I think I
jail
just came up with a movie
where he's like digitally unlocking doors and stuff like that. That would be interesting. But he's basically got rudimentary equipment. The fact is that like when he's sitting there and there's like all that ruckus going on in the cell block and he's got his headphones on, you're like, did he make those headphones? This would be badass to watch him make headphones, to watch him like top off these guys' commissary and everything.
They remake Shawshank Redemption with Blackhat.
Yeah.
It's Red's a hacker in this and tries to get out. I would watch that. The sequel, what's the sequel?
I think the sequel is like they eventually have to go find Hathaway and another hackers come up and they bring him out of retirement. They go find him and they're like,
it's like the beginning of Shooter.
Yeah, right.
He's just living in like Wyoming with the dog.
Right.
Prestige TV, probably the best scenario for this.
Yeah, because then you get to fill out all the things that you're like, oh, it feels like you rushed through this.
Yeah. Is this movie better with Wayne Jenkins, Danny Trejo, Catherine Hahn, Steve Buscemi, Sam Jackson, who clearly should have been in this movie, J.T. Walsh, or Philip Baker Hall?
Yeah, I was thinking like, would it be great if Wayne Jenkins was Hathaway's cellmate? And he was like, God damn, Hathaway! I didn't know I was rooming with Steve Jobs. Way to go on that commissary, man. I got a Twix out of that. Good luck on getting out of here, man. I'm going away a long fucking time, big boy.
$90. Oh my God. That'd be great. They could have fit Bernthal in that.
I mean, Bernthal's
Bernthal? Oh. Bernthal is the Blackhat guy? Yeah, he was famous enough at this point.
Come on, that would have been sick.
Oh my God. Bernthal? Yeah, that's the one. Would you buy Bernthal as a hacker, though?
John Bernthal had a negative experience with Michael Mann.
Right.
So, I mean, this is just wish casting for us.
Just one Oscar, who gets it? And it's a tough one. This is one of the first times it might leave a blank. Not the composer.
Can you imagine him getting the Oscar and going up and just being like, fuck Michael Mann?
We should have put that in What Stage the Worst is venting on Facebook.
Yeah.
About a professional gripe.
Thinking that you and me wouldn't find it 8 years later.
Right. Probably unanswerable questions. I watch this. I think this every time I watch a movie like this. Is being a really good hacker, and he's one of the best, right? This is like, maybe he's not Nikola Jokic, but he might be Jason Tatum.
Sure.
Worst case scenario.
He's top 10.
Yeah, he's top 10. Worst case scenario, he's at least as good as like Jaren Jackson as hacking.
Yeah.
He's a top 20 guy in the world at it. But is it this easy? Is it this easy to be a hacker where you could just you leave to go to the bathroom and I just go on your computer and I just type some stuff. I'm immediately in. I can access all your stuff, change all your settings, and I just have to have a couple prompts that I write my name next to. I never got into hacking ever, and I was an only child with a computer, and I still didn't understand it.
I think that if you know the language of hacking, I think learning the language is the hard part, probably, because all that.
So once you know the language, it's actually easy to just hack the shit out of stuff.
And I really have no idea, but I think the hard part is learning how to code, right? And then after that, it's a lot of it is your imagination. And
Craig, what are your thoughts here? Is hacking this easy? Hacking overrated? Underrated?
I don't know. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more these days. I don't know why.
You're of a generation. Do you know any hackers? Were any of your friends oh yeah,
No. I mean, the biggest hacking thing growing up was jailbreaking your iPhone.
Right.
When you're on a plane and you log in,
mm-hmm.
If you're flying cross country and they're like, hey, it's JetBlue, hop on our Wi-Fi, and you got to pay and put your password in. It just seems like the Nicholas character could just fly around on an airline.
If he's got an Android phone, it seems like he could basically
just grab everybody's information on the plane, right? It's an unsafe internet connection. So is that like too easy for him?
I don't know, but at the same time, sometimes I'll say like something about maybe I should get a neck pillow at dinner, and then when I get home, there's neck pillow ads in my Instagram. So what are we talking about?
I mean, that's real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff Chow and I were talking about a podcast, whether we should go after it. And like 2 hours later, he got fed an ad for the podcast.
Yeah. It's creepy.
You know what it is, Chris? It's the internet. It's all out there. But yeah, it is fucking weird. Like, we are living in this world already, which makes a lot more sense than it did when this movie came out. What other unanswerable questions do you have?
You are one of the top 20, the Jaren Jackson of hacking. I think, and there might be some debate about where Jaren Jackson would land here.
Yeah.
You get out of federal prison on a make or break deal with the federal government, and you immediately get into a pretty serious romantic relationship.
Well, obviously he was horny.
Yeah. Horny for love, though. Horny for like it being a true commitment.
Was very cute.
Yeah, but like I think that if I want to get into the Z1 Neo part here, which is like, what do these guys do when there's not hacking to talk about? When they're not talking about like, where do we get Sadak and Kassar?
I think the sex seemed like it was probably going to last for 6, 7, 8 months. Yeah. I had another unanswerable about, did Michael Mann with the Miami Vice character, what was the actress who played the one, you like the mojitos?
Isn't that Gong Li?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she didn't know English and had to basically learn the English for each line.
She knew English.
She knew English. And I wonder if Michael Mann was just like, I'm going to run this back with another famous actress from an Asian country, but who doesn't have to learn their lines, just to see how this goes. I don't know.
I mean, he was very like enchanted with the idea of doing a film set in Hong Kong because of the like.
And then he does
backdrop.
Tokyo Vice too.
That's what I was going to suggest for the double feature. Is the first episode of Tokyo Vice.
You're still maybe the only person who watched it.
It's coming back.
It's coming back.
Mike's not, but it is coming back.
Craig, do you have any nitpicks or unanswerable questions?
No.
Okay, we'll get to you later. So, best double feature, you have Tokyo Vice.
The first episode of Tokyo Vice.
I have Sneakers. I think you go Sneakers and then this, and just kind of watch how hacking gets a lot more complicated. Andy Red's Award Award. What happened the next day? Probably he's in pain for a few weeks there because he just poured baking powder on gaping holes in different parts of his body. But yeah, I think, so what does he have? 50 million in the bank, something like that?
Well, he theoretically has the 76 million that he took.
Because he takes out some money. He takes out $5,000 and it's like his balance was 49 million.
Do you think they go to like Bali? I like the idea that at the end of all these techno thrillers, like the hero always escapes to like a tropical island.
Yeah.
And it's like, are James Bond, Jason Bourne, and Nick Hathaway all on the same island?
Right.
Like running competing
with
beach
Dom
bars?
Toretto.
Yeah.
And the guys from Running Scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody's like, I'm going to go to Boston. Nobody's going to know. I won't say courtside at the Celtic games, but I'll be like row 5.
Boston Sand and Gravel.
You're right. I'll be in Charlestown. Nobody will know. What piece of memorabilia would you want from this movie? I was thinking that transmitter that he finds in the plant would be cool.
To always have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be a good one. Coach Finstock Award, best life lesson?
I think do my time, don't let my time do me is good.
I agree. Who won the movie?
Do you want to say Viola?
I do. That's what I had written down.
Because I think that if she's replacement level, this movie is not actually as good. I think she actually makes this movie.
I think she
pop.
owns every scene, and it actually makes me mad that she's not in more of the movie. And I wish the sister had blown up instead of Viola, and then it's the two of them together.
Viola Davis and Chris Hemsworth
the rest of the way.
Yeah, that would
those
be very
two,
cool.
And maybe it's even gets
and she's like,
a
I
little
got nothing
frisky
to
at the end.
lose. My husband's dead. Like,
she's like, I'm a widow.
Yeah,
you're handsome. Let's go to St. Bart's.
Yeah.
You think they're on the same island with Gene Hackman from The Firm, where all his files are, and the boat guy?
Maybe that could be.
That would be funny. This would be a great like
Crime
bit.
Island.
Like crime would be like a great cartoon where everybody's there. Like somebody's got a restaurant and a bar, and you just go. Yeah.
And
All right.
And then like basically at the end of the whole thing with the island is these guys are all like, oh, they pulled me back in. I got to go back for one more job.
Oh, the Trading Places guys would be there too.
Yeah.
Craig, what'd you think? Blackhat.
I like you guys parsing over this random movie. This is like me like going over Kenny Pickett's like preseason. It's like going so deep on this like Michael Mann.
It's Michael Mann. We're running out of Michael Mann movies.
I get it. You know, look, I watched this movie at midnight last night, and I got to be honest, it was hard for me to stay awake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fought
because of
through
the
it.
beginning, or because of just in general, you're like, what?
It's a lot of information. I wouldn't have recommended a midnight viewing.
It was the only time I could do it. It was so tech jargony, and I was kind of like halfway through it. I was like, all right, I kind of know that this movie's just going to end with Chris Hemsworth fist fighting some dude and beating him. That's one thing that's kind of. I don't like that the whole movie is so techy.
And then he just like stabs
and then at the end,
shit
it's just
out of
like
the guy.
a fist fight.
Yeah.
It's like I almost wish they incorporated like the cyber hacking effect into actually taking down the guy rather than just like showing up and beating him up.
Like he was hacking to blow him up.
I don't know. It'd
he
be
just
cool.
like types and the guy just
Or if it's like he's on a flight and you hack the flight to go to a different location or like something to like.
Oh, that's a good
incorporate
idea.
Yeah, that's actually
maybe that could be in the next Blackhat cut.
I don't know.
Tax the airplane.
Like when there's like no real skill in killing him. They just like show up. They just like call each other on the phone. They're like, meet me, and then he beats him up.
Yeah. Well, at first it's interesting because Hathaway's like, no in person, only phone. And they're like, no, we have to do it in person. He's like, okay. Right. And then he's like, now I'll put on all these magazines and just stab this guy to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have talked about this more. So when he knows they're just going to fight to the death, basically. Why does he have to do anything? Why can't he just leave with the $74 million?
Because he wants to get revenge for Dwight and for Carol.
Well, why does
the revenge was the $74 million.
Even need to show
because
up?
he's like, I think because he's like, I'm losing my identity, and you're the only thing that's ever been an adversary to me. So I need to like actually see you. That's my idea about it. One thing I will say, that is a definitive stabbing.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's no need to go to replay on that.
Right.
That
he's not getting up.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that the ending with them walking.
Mm-hmm.
Feels a little on the Miami Vice ending corner, which I think is really effective. And I didn't know if that was another intentional.
I think it's just like he has images, he has ideas, he has feelings that he likes to return to throughout his films.
I also think
basically the end of Manhunter. It's like going off into the sunset with this forbidden love that you've gotten free of the world from.
There's like 6 minutes of like virtual digital shots inside of a microchip. I was like 10-seconding through that thing. I was like, man, we're back inside the chip.
Oh, you know when we did Manhunter? It was like month 1 of the pandemic. That's why I don't remember it. I literally don't remember it. I think I blacked out for 2 months of the pandemic.
Was it Yumi and Fantasy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it on Zoom.
Oh, really?
No recollection. I'm going to have to go listen to that one.
I like Manhunter.
I'm sure we had a great time.
Yeah,
I'll have
good.
to listen to it. It's a good one.